Okay. Okay, I think.
What?
Well, I think we're ready to go.
All
Hi,
right.
everyone. Well, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Oh, I need to reposition myself slightly. Higher. Okay. There we go. There we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome. How's it going?
You're shy.
Hello, Nigel. Hello, Paris. Oh, and Kuro over on Cakeside. And hello to more money made on YouTube. Hello. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to today's probably going to be a very scuff stream because we're going to be doing something special today. Let me just start the server real quick. And Foxley, the IP should be the same.
All right.
Alright, let me
Quack.
launch. Quack, 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 quack. How's everyone doing, by the way? Hope everyone had a good week so far. You're just downloading games? Oh, okay. I appreciate the lurk while I presume that you need to have the stream on low quality to download games. Bring this up. Close this. Right. Ah, fuck off music. I don't need to hear shitty sci-fi music. Guys. Oh god damn it, the music is so loud. Hang on. Okay, let me fix this. Guys, we're here. Today we're gonna be playing Subnautica. Well, we're gonna be playing a special version of Subnautica. Let me just load into the server. Joining multiplayer session.
The Aurora suffered orbital hull failure.
Okay.
Cause
I
unknown.
think I'm in.
Human life signs
I'm
detected.
not sure. Hang on. Give it a second. This is a mod. It's gonna be jank as fuck. Also, speaking of jank, guys, I've already ordered the replacement iPhone charger. It hasn't arrived yet, but it's on the way. So, yeah. Okay, I'm in. Are you here, Foxy?
Hold on. I'm joining.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm getting a lot of lag. Hang on. Let me try to fix this. Isn't... Hang on. The color grading. IFXAEA. Motion blur low off. VSync on. Okay. Okay, let's try this. How about now? Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, now the... Let me know if there's any problems with the stream, okay? Audio problems, feature problems, anything. But yeah, we're here. We are lost in some godforsaken place. You guys remember, right? Last time Foxy and I were stranded in the ocean, we were on a raft. Now we are crash landed from a colony ship. Foxy and I tried to, explore the stars, and we managed to book passage on the ship, and then the ship crashed. So now we're here.
Yep.
We're here. We have no idea what's going on. We need to use repair tool to repair our shit. What do I even need? Oh, goddammit. Okay, the buttons in this game it's gonna take some getting used to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hearing something.
Is an essential component of all powered
Something
equipment.
scary.
Your probability of survival has just
I see the
increased to unlikely,
dugong things.
but plausible.
I had a big fish. Yeah,
Oh.
we have
Oh, there it
dugong
is,
fish
yeah.
here. Yeah. Although it's technically poison. So, oh my god. Oh, poison everywhere. Okay,
New creature
okay,
discovered.
we need to grab shit. Start looking for lure. We need to survive. Ooh,
New
water
creature
fish.
discovered.
I've seen a lot of people play this game, but I've never
Alien
played it
life
myself.
forms may have unexpected applications.
Also, yes,
Utilizing alien resources is a proven survival strategy.
Foxy and I are playing this together. Can I eat you? No. Can I eat you? Come here. Come here.
New creature
Gotcha.
discovered.
Oh god. Oh. Oh. Whoa, what's going on?
New
Oh.
blueprint acquired.
Hi.
Oh.
Oh my god, the fish are fighting each other. Oh god, what's going on?
Life on this planet grows in unusually distinct and diverse ecological biomes. Further study recommended.
Okay.
Oxygen.
Okay, this game apparently has a lot of music. So yeah, I don't need to play my own music. The music is so fucking loud though. Hang on a second. Game! Game, shut the fuck up! There we go.
New creature discovered.
Gary fish? I have no idea what these things are. What am I doing? Come here, come here, come here, come here. Come here! Oh, you're dead. You got poison?
Is essential in construction of vehicles and power plants.
Are you building stuff already? Oh god. Listen, listen,
yeah.
listen, Dugong, listen. I'm not going to bother you. Dugong! I'm not used to needing to... What's this? Basic material? Titanium?
I need cave sulfur. How do you get that?
You need what?
Cave sulfur.
I assume in caves? Question mark?
Yeah. Hopefully there's a cave nearby.
I can make a standard O2 tank.
Nice.
I'm going to...
Is
Going
this
to-
cave? Hopefully.
Hang on.
Is this a cave? Oh, whoa! It's a
Uh-oh.
bomb.
Oh god damn it, I didn't want to. Switch container. Oh wow, the buttons in this game are a little bit weird. Just gonna put these all away. Can I keep fish in the locker? Okay, so I have filtered water. Okay, let me drink some water. Okay. Deployables, equipment, standard O2 tank. Did I? Ooh!
New blueprint
Nice.
acquired.
I need more titanium. Okay, I'm gonna look for titanium. Do you have a standard O2 tank? Yeah, right.
I don't think so.
Okay, I can make one for you as soon as I can find more titanium.
Hold on. Do I have titanium? Bleed glass. I do have titanium. Do you want it?
You can make it
I'm not
yourself.
sure how to get it.
If you already have it, then just break it down and use it to make O2 tank, standard O2 tank in tools.
Standard. Oh, there it is.
E. And more oxygen. I don't even know what all of these fish are meant to do. Small edible prey fish. Oh, storage is share. Shit. Okay, that's good to know then. Yeah, Foxley, storage is shared.
Hmm?
The fabricator
Storage is
draws
shared.
from available data to provide environment appropriate
Oh, storage
equipment
of there.
using locally
Okay.
available
Yeah, I
materials.
Well,
see
that's
all.
Safety this setting cannot be overridden.
that's not good.
Well,
I have too many grapevines.
yeah. Oh well, it's fine. It's fine. We'll make do. We'll figure this out as we go. I have no idea what we're doing. Uh. Let me make more filtered water. So I need to go and look for fins, right? Shit, it's nighttime. You know, I really wish I could play a game like this with Numi. Because Numi is so scared of underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
I want to
Awkward.
hear Numi scream.
That's not nice.
Numi lets out really cute screams when he's scared.
Detecting increased local radiation levels. Trend is consistent with damage to the Aurora's drive core sustained during planet fall.
Well, our planet, our ship is gonna blow up. You have enough to make another set of fins?
Let's see. Yep. Do you want it?
Yeah, sure. What do we need to make it anyway?
Silicon rubber.
Which is...
I'm gonna put it. What was it again? Something.
or something.
Hold on, let me see. What was it? Silicon rubber. What did I do? Oh, grapevine. Yeah.
Oh, we need
Grapevine
grapevine?
seed.
Okay. Where are those grapevines? Over there?
Yeah, it's like seaweed, but with yellow color. Ish.
I see him. I'm gonna collect some. Are those dead fish? No, they're still alive. Yes.
Silver-based wiring kits
Hanging out.
are an essential
Yeah.
Silver.
component of many
Nice, I need
habitat modules.
Who found silver? You found silver?
Yep. Do you have flashlight? No, I don't think so.
I think we might have to build it.
Of course.
We have nothing.
Okay, let's see.
You saw. You look at me. Do you think I have anything? It looks like a flashlight. We are fucking hideous. What is with this face? Oh my god. I wouldn't trust this face if I was stranded in the middle of the ocean with him. Look at him. He looks like he's going to rape my ass if I turn my back to him.
Okay, what was it again? What was I going to do? Repair tool, yes. Battery, copper, or... Didn't
Do I
have
even-
copper?
What do I even use
I do
lubricant
have
for?
copper. Oh, by the way, the fence is in the storage.
Ah, no, I just made one.
Oh, well.
Ah.
It's okay. Power cell.
New
Okay.
blueprint acquired.
Copper wire battery.
Thank you for the fins.
You're welcome. Scanner. Yes, I need that.
The scanner
Silicon.
can be used to synthesize blueprints from salvage technology
Make
and
a
through
knife?
Cordalian biological data.
Yay, I have
Weapons
a
were
knife.
removed from standard survival blueprints
I
following
can-
the
I can
massacre
shank
on
him.
Abraxas Prime.
Shank
The knife
some monsters.
remains the only
Shank, shank.
exception.
Oh my god, we need so much silicon rubber. Bleach, quartz.
Is it still night? Like it's daytime.
Oh, daytime already? Wow. Time passes so quickly. What do we even use lubricant for?
Not sure.
Lubricant.
Probably for like one of those subs. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not seeing anything that says needs lubricant. I see a lot of shit. It uses other shit, but nothing that uses lubricant. Copper, titanium, table coral, copper, titanium. Yeah, nothing that uses lubricant.
New wiring kit. Knife. Yes.
Oh my god.
Bladderfish.
Okay, so storage is gonna become a problem very quickly. Nothing stacks with itself.
Battery. Flashlight. Scanner. Air bladder. I need bladderfish. Hunt some bladderfish.
Should be plenty around.
Where are you? What's that? Nope.
I found one. What is this? Cut.
Ah, I see one, I
Refine with
think.
knife.
New
Is this it?
blueprint acquired.
What am I even collecting? Creep vine sample. Oh,
They sound weird.
what can I do with creep vine sample? Fiber mesh. Okay. Emergency. This is like doing for fast. Personal buoyancy. Aha.
Ah,
So I have something called fiber mesh. What the fuck do I use fiber mesh for? Ooh, bandage.
Self-scan complete. Vital signs normal. Continuing to monitor.
eat, consume.
Consume. I made some bandages. So you can heal up if you need to.
Nice.
I have an air bladder. Is this a one-off use thing? Oh, the way this thing works is weird. Okay, what do we need now? Table car? Do I need table car for anything?
Cable car?
Table, yeah, table car.
Not sure.
All time to find out.
What is that?
Monster coming to eat us. Bullfish?
Oh, it's
New
for
creature discovered.
goldfish.
Yeah, it's a fish. Ah! Ah!
You okay?
Motherfucker. I was looking for cave sulfur.
Oxygen.
Oh. Shit, shit, shit. I hate cave diving. I hate cave diving. Ugh. Writing weed? Can I? Ow, ow, ow. Okay, notice how those things don't like being cut. What should I even make next? What should I even make next? I only have a knife right now.
Not sure really. Cook pepper, okay. I'll cook here.
The fabricator cooks small organisms while disposing of the skeletal structure, bodily fluids, and internal organs,
Should try
thus
to.
rendering them safe for human consumption.
Ah. Do you have any titanium at all?
Let's see. Yes.
I need 1 unit of titanium.
There you go.
Right, now with this, I should be able to make this. Right, and now I can bring this here.
What did you make?
I made a repair tool.
Nice. Where's the advanced thingy? High
Repair.
capacity.
I do repair all
Gas.
life pod.
Lifepod secondary systems online.
Nice.
Running full environment diagnostic and outputting results to databank.
Let me repair this. Heck yeah.
Radio online. Broadcasting emergency distress signal. This is Aurora. Distress signal received. Rescue operation will be dispatched to your location in 9
God damn it.
9 hours. Continue to monitor for emergency transmissions from other life pods.
Acid, mushroom spore, table coral. Should probably try to build the next tool, right? There's flashlight, there's pathfinder tool. What the fuck is a pathfinder tool? battery and a scanner to battery and titanium to make a scanner, but what the fuck? How do I make a battery? Acid mushroom and
New
copper ore.
blueprint
Oh.
acquired.
Where was the cave again? Da, da, da.
Need more titanium. Yeah, a lot of
Titanium?
titanium. Yeah.
I have some.
Uh,
I'm coming.
how do I?
I'm gonna put in the storage if there's still more room. I'm just gonna drop this here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What else do you need?
I need battery or components to make a battery. I'm trying to learn what everything needs.
Battery, you need acid mushroom and copper.
Haven't found copper yet. I found acid mushroom though.
I have 1 copper. I can give it to you. There's 2 copper now in the storage. You can make it, I think.
Okay, let me see if I can make it. Electronics, battery. Shit, I'm short 1 acid mushroom. Hang on.
There's abundance down here. Don't have to worry. Where was the cave? Oh, it's here. Okay, where's the quartz? I want the quartz.
Alright, now let me make battery. And now I need to make. I need titanium. God, inventory management this game is also gonna be so awful. Now I have a scanner. And wait. Scanner? I'm going to
Caution. Continued degradation of the Aurora's drive core may result in a quantum detonation. Continuing to monitor.
Dude. Am I lugging around all these table coral samples for nothing? Are they used for anything? Hang on a second. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Going back in circles. Oh my god.
Coral tube is used to make bleach? But what about fucking table coral? Oh, computer chip. Okay. But it seems like it's useless right now. Yeah, right. Oh, wow. What the hell are you doing here?
What? What? Oh, there's some kind of predator.
Yeah.
Run
Just
away.
gonna drop all of this outside. Come here, bladderfish.
I just want quartz.
Can I pick you up? Oh, you're a Gary fish.
No.
You know what? I'm letting you go. I don't need you right now. We need more bladderfish.
No. Fabricator. Glass.
Do you need water or bladderfish?
For now, no.
I,
Hmm. What was it again? Oh, high capacity. Nice. Hell yeah.
wow, you're making so much good shit. You played this game before?
No, I haven't. You can literally see in my Steam. First time playing.
You're so fast, Foxley. I'm still making food and you're already like, oops.
I'm just gathering stuff.
You're so good at games like this. I'm so slow. Bye, just check.
Hmm. What else?
I don't only have
The
coffee.
breather. Okay. We have the breather. How do you make it? Wiring kit, fiber mesh. Wiring kit. Silver. Fiber mesh.
We want to. Do we want to try to make a base yet, or are we just still building up
Yeah, I
tools
think
for
we
now?
should. Because we don't have enough storage.
We need a lot of titanium. Where the fuck do we find more titanium?
Just try to find a wreckage of our big ship and use the scanner to salvage. Oh, it's dark.
Can I self-scan?
It is dark. Do you find silver? I don't know where to find silver.
No, that's not what I wanted to do. Fuck! Do we have to scan everything?
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
God damn it! Let me scan you, motherfucker! Stand still. It's called gas support. You know what? I'm just gonna call it fucking dugong. Called shell plate. Yeah, I'm gonna scan everything I find until and then figure out what's useful later. Where the fuck are you? Oh, thank you for the air. Well, you. Can I scan? No. Fuck you too. Give me metal. God damn it! Why is there no metal here?
Yeah.
Come here. Come here. Let me scan you. Fuck you. How are we supposed to find metal? It seems so rare.
Yeah. Silver ore. Oh, I have gold. I didn't know that.
Beacon fragment? I found something called a beacon fragment.
Might be important. If it's fragment.
Yeah, I'm looking for more. Yeah, more wreckage. Good.
Titanium. Oh, what?
What? Oh. Literally can't see shit. Why can't I salvage all this junk? Look how much metal there is here. I pick you up? No. Fuck you. What about you? Anything in here? Really? Nothing? Fuck you too.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Oh.
Wait, where are you going? I need that. I need that! Get back here! This stalker is carrying some fucking... Ah!
Oxygen.
Where'd he go? That stalker was carrying some metal components. There you are. Come here. Oh god. Die! Die! Die, motherfucker! Oh, thank you.
Silver ore. I need to find more silver.
Oops.
Okay, now I need water.
Mobile vehicle bay fragment.
What do you make
Fuck you!
water?
Fuck you, bitch! Ah!
Water. Bladder.
I'm coming back.
Bladder fish. Okay. I need bladder fish.
I have a lot of fish.
Bladder.
I have a lot of it.
Nice.
I'll come and make you some. Let's see here.
Come back here. No. I should eat you.
Hi. Plenty of water here.
Huh?
Going to put some bottles of water in
Oh.
storage. There's plenty
Okay.
here.
3.
Okay, I found some metal. I'm going to turn this
Nice.
into titanium. Ripped one of these off of a stalker. You know what? Those names are so weird. I'm just gonna call it based on Earth names, the barracuda fish. Yes, fuck you. I'm not gonna call it all your weird sci-fi names. I'm gonna call it Earth names. We're here to conquer this land.
Land?
Yes, this land. Sea land. Yes.
Come on, give me silver. I just need one more.
Beacon. I need.
Where are you, silver?
Let me cook and eat some food. I don't need to cure it right now. I'm just gonna cook it.
It is common for those accustomed to synthetic foods to be repulsed by eating an animal carcass. Remember that humans survived this way for millennia. You can too.
Yeah, I don't care. Nom 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 nom. Okay, I'm gonna put these in here. I have a whole bunch of titanium. I'm gonna put some of it in storage. Okay, let's
Silver?
see. No
Are you
silver.
silver? No, not salt. It's salt.
Uh,
What are you? Creature egg? Nice. Silver? No. Titanium.
uh, computer chip copper. Battery
Silver?
request.
Nope. Salt. Copper.
I need glass. How the fuck do I make glass?
You need quartz for it.
What? Why? Can we just turn sand into fucking glass?
Silver? Nope. More titanium.
Oh well. More titanium isn't bad.
But I want silver. Silver? Nope. Gold. Nice.
That'll do. Yeah, what the hell? Oh, god
But
damn
I
it.
want silver. What? Shuttle bug. Looks disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
No! No!
These are cave creatures.
Oh!
What's this? Silver!
You got silver?
Found one.
Nice.
Wow. Learning to spot all those outcrops is really difficult, man.
Delta.
30 seconds.
Okay, fine. What is cargo? Can I cargo you? No. Silver?
Right down I go.
Nope.
How much silver do we need? A lot, I'm guessing.
Since you have two, we can make one rebreather. Oh, silver! Nice. What do I need to throw away? Drop this. Where's the silver? No, it's gone! Aw.
You know, I think I swim up faster than the fucking
Silver is
flying
gone.
thing. This disappears that quickly, really?
Oh, wait. No. Yeah, it's gone.
Oh,
There's a lot of like grass here, so I can't really see.
Warning. Local radiation readings suggest the Aurora's drive core has reached critical state.
Hmm?
Quantum detonation will occur within 2 hours.
2 hours? Okay.
I shall be fine, right?
Lead? Nope. I
I'm sure
want
nothing
silver.
bad's gonna happen, right? Ooh, more titanium. Don't mind if I do.
Nope. Nope. Where was that? Nope.
Oh, I'm getting this weird lag. I found quartz,
Nice.
copper, acid shrooms. What? Ah, back here! Back here! Back here!
Copper. Yeah, that is important. I'm just gonna drop this one. Where did copper go? No, wait, not this one.
Ah, you gotta be shitting me! No! Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my god! Ah! Fuck off!
New blueprint acquired.
We have sea glider.
We need sulfur, right? So I'm gonna collect all this sulfur while I'm here. Before I forget.
I'm coming home. La la la. Oh, 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 oh.
I belong West Virginia. Mountain Mama.
Sea glider or rebreather? Copper wire. Oh, we need lubricant for sea glider.
Well, we have
Let's see.
we have a creepvine forest right over there. Alright. Let's see.
Battery. And I have a sea glider.
So fast.
The Sea Glide will increase your effective exploration range.
And a
For your
rebreather.
safety, please pack supplies for long journeys and stay within 5 kilometers of the nearest life pod or habitat.
I'm gonna put my... what do you need? Kitty?
Hang on a second. What do I need? I have no idea.
I'll try to make a sea glider for you.
I would.
And
I think I
lubricant?
would prefer having a rebreather first rather than the sea glider.
Rebreather?
yeah.
What do you need? Wiring kit and fiber mesh. Fiber mesh should be easy. It's creepvine sample.
Yeah. I also need the high capacity. Oh, I can make the high capacity O2 tank already. Let me just get that.
Do you have 2 silver on you for the rebreather?
Yeah, stand by. I'm going to drop all my copper and shit. I only have 1 silver.
1. Okie
Yeah.
dokie.
I
I'll
don't
try
know
to
if you have
find-
enough. I
I
dropped it.
have-
Right? Hello, Chen. Welcome. Is that 2-player mode? I normally no, but Foxy and I are using a mod, a very jank
Congratulations,
mod.
Survivor. You have exceeded your weekly exercise quotient by 500%. Data indicates that swimming was your favorite activity. Be sure to
Ah, shit,
vary
I
your
need the-
routine for uniform muscle
I need the
development.
silver ore for the high capacity tank. Really? Damn it. Okay, I need to go
Oh,
and
no.
find more.
Silver. Where did I want again? Which direction?
Oh god. Hello, Dick. Welcome. Welcome to the roost. How are you doing? Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah.
Getting dark.
Excuse me while I focus on crafting. Hope everyone's doing okay. Yeah, well,
silver?
we're using a mod called Subnautica Night Trucks. It allows people to play multiplayer together, although it's a little bit jank. It doesn't work on Subnautica 2.0, we are playing Subnautica Legacy. That's the only way it works right now. And so was it
Silver?
glitchy?
Nope.
It is relatively easy to set up once you know what you need
No.
to do. Yeah, relatively easy to set up. So far, the only glitches we've encountered are occasional like lag spikes. The server is not able to keep up with where everything is. But other than that, everything seems to be going quite smoothly so far. Playing with multiplayer definitely makes everything progress so much faster. Because Foxley is good with games like this. I'm awful.
Not really.
I take ages to do anything. Okay, I have a battery and now I need glass. I'm so slow. Oh.
Yamete!
Oh no!
Oxygen. Silver? Nope.
Can I attach this to my face?
I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dead.
No!
Did I lose all my stuff? Nope. Luckily.
I believe you only lose some stuff when you die.
High capacity, that's important. Rebreather, okay. Most of my stuff still here. That's good. Good.
Yeah, other than the initial setup, needing to learn how to set up the server and all that, everything seems to be running pretty good. We're having fun. We're exploring the oceans together. Yeah, we don't have the 2.0 update stuff, but hopefully the mod gets updated for 2.0 eventually. You just have to wait until they do update it. Who knows when you're going to do it though. Have to see. Let me just grab this. I'm gonna make more water first.
Okay, we need to make like another storage. That would be cool if I'm just playing this game for it.
Play with someone else in alone. Yeah, same here actually.
Basic
Games like
pieces
these,
on the
I massively prefer playing with friends, and yeah, it's really nice to have Foxley here because Foxley is so much better than me.
Nah, just found stuff and craft. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you're a natural. Let me see.
Counter? What do we need counter? Oh, blah, blah, blah.
I
Blah,
think
blah,
that's
blah, blah.
decoration.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me see. Where? I do not see rebreather.
Waterproof locker.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, I see it. Wiring kit.
We
and
can make a waterproof locker. But where to put? Where to put it?
So I haven't found silver yet, right? For my rebreather.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find.
Oh.
Oh shit.
What the? Did
Emergency.
the
A
thing-
quantum detonation has occurred in
Uh-oh.
the Aurora's drive
Yeah, the ship
core.
is exploding.
The reactor will reach a supercritical state in T-minus 10,
Ah.
9,
I'm not sure if we should be waiting. I'm sure it's fine. It's just horrible. Oh god. Oh, it's just radioactive. Right? It's sure it's fine, right?
Oopsie.
It wasn't us, chat. It's not our fault.
New blueprint acquired. For your convenience, the radiation suit has been added to your blueprint database.
I don't think we need to worry about radiation yet. We're still in the starter area. Finding silver is so hard.
I guess we made it hard for ourselves.
Did we? How?
Now we have to deal with radiation.
We'll be fine. I'm sure we'll be
Gold.
fine.
Put my gold here. And my salt.
You see a lot of quartz, but no rocks.
Now where was the direction?
Rock.
There.
Titanium. Copper. Give me silver, god damn it!
Silver? Nope. Titanium. Salt? No.
Get out. Get out. Oh!
Can I kill you? Pretty sure I
Where
can.
did you come from?
Let me kill you. Come on. I want to kill you.
Where did you come from? It's gonna be sulfur. Really? Oh, fuck you then, game.
Die. 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 Are you dead? You're dead.
Okay. Let's see here.
The
Can't see shit down here. Ooh, more cave sulfur. I guess I'll take that.
silver? Nope.
Titanium. Oh, this is a deeper part of the ocean. Where the hell am I? I've got some air and see what we can see. Are you something? No. Oh, what are you?
Short-range scans suggest this biome supports extensive biodiversity and connects to a number of small cave networks.
Yeah, leave me alone. Don't worry. I need to raw in my face. Can't see anything.
What the hell are you? Nani
Any-
Moroda.
Any
Whoa!
copper?
You're fast.
I'm looking for.
One silver.
More copper. Bloody hell. Dropping stinger. Where the hell is the fucking silver?
The hell is a floater?
Local
just gonna
scans
pick
show
you
a
up.
nearby cave entrance, depth 90 meters, leading to an unknown environmental biome.
Unknown?
Fuck off.
30 seconds.
Silver! I have 2 silver now.
Finally. Okay, so. Oh,
New
Ooh.
blueprint acquired.
Eagle Bay, yes. That's what we need.
gold.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! I'm
Oh, no.
drowning! I'm
I'm
drowning!
dying.
Ah!
I'm dying.
Ah! Did I drown?
Did I lose? Nope.
Ah shit! I drowned. Oh come on! Seriously? Seriously? No!
But do you lose your stuff though? Do you still have your stuff?
I don't know. Where the fuck did I die? Where the... No! Where's my shit?
Wait, did you lose your stuff?
I don't know. I don't know what I lost. I don't know what I was carrying, but what I lost.
Ooh, what is this? Okay.
Is it here? Was it here? Okay, I think it was here. Somewhere. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Integrating new PDA data.
Okay, I think I died around here somewhere. Maybe. I'm not sure. Where the fuck did I die?
Whoa! That's the grace of whatever that is.
Okay, you know what? You know what? I'm gonna not cheat.
Hmm?
Don't worry about it. Oh, it didn't work. Fuck! I'm just gonna bring all these metal fragments back, I guess.
This is LifePod 3, uploading our coordinates. We're plugging some holes in our emergency sea glide, so if we're late for the rendezvous, don't panic. Also, don't go home without us. Seriously. 3 out.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
Damn it.
Getting to the ground.
Can't believe I fucking drowned.
Chase her.
Hi. I'm here. Ah. I have a lot of titanium. Need to make some food as well. I'm just gonna cook some pepper. There we go. Alright. I'm going to break down this titanium right now. It's annoying that we have to do this one by one. Okay. I can technically make titanium ingots now. I'm not sure if I should.
Nice.
Let's see here. You happen to have that silver on you?
Yes. Silver. Where did my silver go? Do you see it?
Hang on. Can we retrieve titanium from titanium ingot?
What?
I just made a... Okay, I got the 2 silver ore. I just made
You
a
only
titanium...
have fins, right? I think we
Yes,
can
I have
just
fins.
throw this fin away. How do you throw stuff?
Okay, now I have a wiring kit. What else do I need? I need fiber mesh. You have any extra fiber? No?
Nope.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I can go and get it easily. Hang on, Foxy. Can you swim in a straight line? I want to test something. Just swim in a straight line. Okay, sorry. For a moment I was worried that maybe I might have fucking admin or some shit because I'm swimming really fast. I guess not. Let me get back here and make some fiber mesh. Do I have everything yet? Do I? Yes. Yay! Yay, have fucking we breather now. Okay, now what do I make next?
Nice.
Habitat builder would be nice, but do you already have that? You haven't have a habitat builder?
Nope, not yet.
We should try to make that next. Once we have a habitat builder, we can have a lot more storage space. I'll try to.
This is Avery Quinn of Trading Ship Sunbeam. Aurora, do you read? Over? Nothing but vacuum. These Altera ships. They run low on engine grease, send an SOS, you offer to help, they don't pick up. Aurora, I'm out on the far side of the system. It's gonna take more than a week to reach your position. Do you still need our assistance? Over. I'll try them again tomorrow. Damn charter's gonna have us blowing our credits running errands for Altera. See what the long-range scans pick up in the meantime.
I actually like the lore that they have for this universe.
Yeah.
All like corporate corporate shenanigans going on for ships and the way it's expected that they help out people when they pick up distress signal and corporate law demands it. That kind of thing. Looking for more bladderfish. Got some bladderfish. Hi. I'm actually tempted to make time pass by slower. I'm not sure. I can technically adjust the server so that it makes time go slower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna mix some water first. Right, got plenty of water. Okay, now what do we need? How close are you to building a habitat builder?
What's that?
How close are you to having a habitat builder?
I think I need
Silver?
more copper. Mhm.
I have 1 copper here. There's 3 copper in the storage. And yeah, we need a lot of silver, don't we? Computer chip. Computer chip requires gold.
I have few of those.
Yeah. Gold, copper wire, and wiring kit. Yeah, we need silver. I assume we don't have any silver right now, so I'm gonna go back out to look for more silver.
Mm.
At least we find a lot of titanium. We're gonna need a lot of titanium once we start building out a base, because that requires lots of titanium. I'm not messing with you, don't worry. God damn, I can't see anything. Titanium. Copper. Yeah, will do. Where's the silver? God damn it.
3.
Found 1 silver.
Detecting sulfur deposits in the local cave systems. Sulfur is an essential component of the repair through.
Ow.
God fucking damn it. These things are impossible to avoid. More sandstone left. Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Yeah. It's like limestone. So silver is found specifically from sandstone. Oh,
Blueprint acquired.
advanced wiring kit. We haven't even finished making the wiring kit stuff yet. Oh, you gotta be shitting me!
Copper. I need copper. Copper. Where are you? Okay. I think I have enough for the habitat builder.
Oh.
What is this?
Considering how
wiring
hard it is to find a habitat builder, we might just decide to share one.
The Builder tool is designed to construct habitats capable of withstanding extreme environmental conditions.
わかりました? Actually. So how do you use these? Ah, okay.
Next thing I know, I'm gonna go home to an entire base built out.
Uh, uh, where do you want to build this space? Around this area? And the starting point?
Yeah, just a small base, why not? Place we can call home. So we don't have to
What can
worry
I build?
about storage
What can I
space at the
build
very least.
here?
We unlocked the beacon blueprint? Yeah, we have not.
Ah, I see. That's how.
I don't need salt right now.
Need a flat surface. I don't really know how to make this, but I will try. Foundation?
+2 to
How do
base
you-
strength. Oh, you're building it over there? In the...
I'm still trying to get used to how to do this.
It's fine. It'll work.
Ah. No.
Let's see if there's anything we
Okay.
missed in
We
this
need
book.
more titanium
I have plenty of titanium.
already.
Hang on. I'll grab all the titanium for you. Lots of titanium in storage. Oh yeah. Look at all this titanium. Okay. How do I pass it over to you? Oh wow, this open storage doesn't have much space in it. Okay, can I drop it here on the platform?
Yeah, just drop it. Yep.
Grab it all.
Hold on.
Trying to figure out what kind of base you're building.
I don't know. At least you can disconstruct the building if it's not what you want.
I would say probably build it on the platform that you just created. Or, in order to make things simpler, could build on the surface first.
Surface.
Yeah. Closer to...
Can't really, unless you know the ground is near the surface and
Can-
has a lot of surface.
Can build foundation over here.
Hold on. here. Da, 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 da.
Like on here. Is it possible to build a foundation here? If we can build here, this will be kind of like a shallow, and then we can build out to deeper water if we need to.
Compartment, basic table compartment.
It seems a little bit jank.
How do you rotate?
Do you want me to try?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, where did the builder go?
It's not there?
I don't see it.
Oh no.
Wait, did the...
Oh wait, no. It's still here.
Oh, where
There
is
it
it?
is.
Oh, it's tiny as fuck. Okay, let me try this. Okay, let me see about building a basic base first. Oops. 4. Okay, let's see. Now how do I... There we go.
There is titanium.
I have plenty. Stand by. I'm gonna build it like so. Right. Now I'm going to build a vertical window. We don't... Oh, hang on a second. Did we not unlock the ability to build a room yet?
A room?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Really?
I'm not sure.
We can only build compartments but not rooms? What the fuck?
I think we still need to scan. Maybe we need to go to the ship to scan a lot of stuff.
I'm fairly certain we should be able to build a room first. I'm putting the builder tool inside the pod. Hang on, I'm gonna look this up. Subnautica room. Multi-purpose room. Sea-based module, fairly large drum. Let me see here. We need to find the Degassi sea bases and scan the room. Really?
Hmm.
Well, I guess we need to explore.
Do you have your sea glider?
No. I didn't build one yet. What do I need for a sea glider? What the hell is the fucking sea glider? Am I missing it? Am I blind? Oh yes, I'm blind. Lubricant, copper wire, and battery. Okay, might have enough to build it. Or not, I'm short one silver ore. Wait, no, I think I can. Hang on. Copper wire. And battery. I need mushrooms. Acid shrooms? I'm gonna go get some acid shrooms. Alright, now make me a battery. Right, now the fuck is a sea glider? Let's see.
Pre-recorded distress call.
This is Life Pod 6. I have a passenger on board. Coordinates attached. We've landed a kilometer from the crash site, but there's radiation in between us and the rendezvous. Request immediate assistance. 6 out.
Signal coordinates corrupted. Approximate transmission origin recorded to data bank.
Eh? Why can't I see a sea glide anywhere? Am I blind?
Hmm.
I'm bladder.
It's at the below.
Oh, deployable. Okay.
Deployable. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Got it. Oh my god, this thing is gigantic. Oh. Okay, before we go exploring, let me go and get water and food. I'll stock up on some calories. Beeper. Right. Gonna make some food. And water. You know, it's a good thing that our live pod has will recharge its power cells.
Hmm.
At least I think it will. Should. Alright. Gonna take one of these. I have so much titanium on me. a titanium ingot. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take this and put a titanium ingot away. Because apparently titanium ingot is a crafting material.
Hmm.
Right. Oops.
Be advised, a common complication for cave divers is loss of orientation, followed by eventual asphyxiation.
Oh. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. 3 and 4. Right. I'm gonna put my titanium and lead and all this junk in here before I go. Right. So live pod. I'm gonna check out live pod 3. See if I can find anything. Try to keep my eyes peeled for any stuff we can find along the way. See a lot of titanium parts. I'll leave this here for now. Fuck are you? You just a rock? Yeah, you're a rock. More titanium metal parts. Copper. Take that. Ooh, there might be stuff here. Let's see. Oh yeah, for me. Oh, already scanned. Oh.
30 seconds.
Just gonna wait here while I grab more oxygen. Thank you. What are you? Silver. Perfect. You are titanium. I'll just take it. You are salt. I don't need salt. More titanium. Why not? Man, my flashlight's running out of battery so quickly.
No.
another mobile vehicle fragment. Well, found the pod. The dash. More mobile vehicle bay. How am I finding all these mobile vehicle bay fragments but not a beacon fragment? Anyway. Eh? Wasn't it here? Eh? Did... Wait, what? Where'd it go? Eh? Wait, what?
Hmm?
Where did the pod go? Eh?
Where the water?
Where did the pod go?
Where the water? Oh, what is this?
Where?
Ooh,
Where's the pod? Eh?
where's the what?
The pod disappeared? Eh?
The
It's...
pod?
Yeah, the pod
What pod?
disappeared. I don't... There's supposed to be a pod here. A survival pod, but it's gone? Eh?
Nani?
You guys saw it, right? Chat? There was a pod right here. What the fuck? I took my eyes off it just to grab a box and then it's gone. Eh? I'm not going crazy, right? Chat, there was a pod here. Wait, there. Okay, so... Hang on. I managed to get the beacon to spawn again. Where? Yeah, it's... Eh? It's here, but it did not spawn? Question mark? Eh? What? It... Did it bug out? Okay, hang on a second. Hang on, I need to look this up. Okay, so we found the first problem of the mod. Possibly. Life pod.
Detecting increased foreign bacteria levels in the water. Performing a self-scan is advised. Self-scan complete. Vital signs normal. Detecting trace amounts of foreign bacteria. Continuing to monitor.
Invisible. Life pods can go just log out and then go back in. Okay, the mod maker say log out and log back in, so I'm gonna try that. I'm going to quit.
Hold on.
I don't think you need to quit, but I'm gonna try to log out and log back in, see if this will fix it. Connect to my server. Fine.
location uploaded to PDA.
Welcome back.
Still loading in. Give me a second. Okay. I've logged out and logged back in. Let's see if the pod is still missing. Yeah, it is. Okay, hang on. Foxley, when you can, log out. I'm going to restart the server.
Alright.
Right. Let's try to restart the server and see if this will fix it. Well, stay safe. Save. Well, stay safe. Restart. Actually, while we're here, let me take a short washroom break. I need to go pee. Yeah, pee, Chan. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream so far. Nice, comfy Subnautica stream. Let me go to the washroom. Coming back. Hang on. Okay, let me get back into my BDSM chest harness, and I'm going to try to log back into the game. Okay, like multiplayer. Okay, yeah, they recommend relogging and restarting. So let's see if this fixes the problem. Unable to connect. What do you mean? Firewall interfering.
Uh-oh.
What? Excuse me? Hang on. Okay, hang on. Let me try to see if I can. Okay, the server froze when I told it to restart. Okay, you know what? Let me relaunch the server. Okay, now let me try. Okay, I'm loading in.
Suffered orbital hull failure. Cause unknown. 0 human life signs detected. Signal location uploaded to PDA.
Where the hell am I?
Hmm.
I think I'm in a different place. Where am I? Wait, nope, it's here. And it's still missing. Okay, hang on.
Aurora, this is Sunbeam again. We just picked up a massive debris field at your location. I didn't know how bad, how many of you... I didn't know. We're now en route to your location. We're gonna bring you home. Sunbeam out. What else can I say? The only time I parked a rig this big on a rock that small was in VR. And I blew it. It's a bad option, all right, but so are all the others.
Right, let me... Our... life pods are invisible. We tried rejoining and restarting the server. Any other steps? Teleport away from it and go back. Okay. Let me see here. I'm gonna need to probably admin this. Let's see here. Restart, promote. Change password, broadcast, whisper, warp. Entity cache in the server config. Okay, so I need to warp away and then swim back. Okay. Well. Okay. Let me warp to you, Foxley. Warp.
Mm-hmm.
Artificial cutie, Foxley. I hope that this is me to you and not you to me. Okay. It was me to you. Good.
Welcome back.
Right. Now I need to swim all the way back there. Okay. If the issue persists, I might need to perform another step. But let's find out together, shall we? You know, I wonder if this counts as using 6, 5. Oh well. I'm basically just running underwater. It's fine. Hi. Still invisible. Okay, Foxy, need to restart the server again.
Alrighty. Hold on. BRB.
Alright, I need to find the server config. Okay. Exit the Nitrox server. Okay, need to do some stuff here. Stand by. I assume I need to change false to true. Let's try this again. Okay, yeah, the server is now taking a lot longer to start up. It's loading all of the entities into the cache at once, so this will take a while. I'll give it a minute, chat. How's everyone doing in chat so far? You guys chilling? Anyone enjoying themselves? It's a very nice and calming stream so far, except for all the times that those fucking explodey fish tried to bloody load all over our faces. I'm currently still waiting for my new iPhone charger to arrive. Let me check the shipment real quick. Track shipment, it is. See how close it is it to me? It has arrived at the local transport hub, but it arrived on Friday, so unlikely it's gonna be delivered on the weekend. More than likely it's going to arrive on Monday, sadly. Saving newly cached entities. Is it time for me to join? Question mark? Okay, let me try. Let's see if this works.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
Okay, it worked. Yay! Hello? Anyone home?
New blueprint acquired. Integrating new PDA data.
Oh. Okay. Okay, got everything. Now I need to swim all the way back home. Well. Will I be faster if I hold this? No, it's not faster. Oh. Oxley, are you back yet? Not yet. Solved it. Okay, I'm reporting that the issue is solved to the mod maker Discord. Okay. Let's get home. I still have not found the final beacon blueprint yet. That's annoying. I found so much sea glide and vehicle terminal blueprint, but not the beacon. Ah well. Let's see. Do I have water? I do. And? Oh well. I ate decomposing paper fish, but it's fine. I'll come back. Okay, problem is solved.
No?
I needed
What did
to.
you do?
I needed to turn on an option that unfortunately makes the game take a lot longer to load when I'm first starting up the server, but entity caching should be a lot more stable now. So yeah.
Nice.
Oh, did you cook a?
That's rotten.
Yeah, it's rotten. Oh. Oh goddamn! Why is only rotten food here? I need to do some hunting. I'm hungry and thirsty. Come here. Come here, you. Come here. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you, 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 fuck you. Ow. How are you supposed to avoid that? Yeah. Come here. Okay. Should be enough. We need to find the final blueprint for the beacon. It's silly how we have mobile vehicle bay and sea glide blueprints, and I found so many copies of it, but we still have not found a second copy of the beacon blueprint yet. Also, I found a compass while I was at the crash light pod.
Oh. Nice.
need more water. What the hell are you? That was strange. Oh. Larva fish. Larva fish. Where are you? Larva fish? Are we... Did we kill all the bladder fish?
Oh? No? No?
Oh. Fuck. What happened?
It's one of those explosive fish.
Oh. What are you?
For you.
What fish? What do we need to make? Salt deposits. I have a feeling. Yeah, we're actually running out of bladder fish. Found one.
Really?
30 seconds.
Nice.
Found one. Found one. Come here. Come here. Where the fuck is... Beacon. Beacon blueprint. Yeah, beacon blueprint. Thank you. Aren't you gonna appear for me? Beacon blueprint. Ow! Motherfucker! Yeah! You know what? I think we need to just start making disinfectant water out of salt deposits.
Yeah. We have a lot of salts. So
Damn. Give me something besides fucking mobile vehicle bay fragment. God fucking damn it. Get munched on. Listen, those motherfucker fish, we eat them, not the other way around. You got that, chat? You got it? Also, welcome, Cake Sanctuary. How you doing? Let me see, what do I need for bleach? Tube sample, right? There's plenty of tube corals around our base, right? That's a rock. Is that a tube coral? Yes, it is. Hey. Come here. Oh, shit, inventory full. Really? Oh, fuck you too then. Let's make some bleach.
Bleach is an essential chemical used for cleaning wounds and purifying water. Preparing the day's water ration ahead of time will help ensure against dehydration and eventual death.
Oh, Foxley, we're doing okay so far. No deaths yet. The ship has exploded, but we're okay. We didn't die. Right. We have plenty of filtered water and disinfected water. Actually, we have more disinfected water than we have space for. You see, what should I build? Oh, I should build something. We have habitat builder, we have a repair tool, we have power cell. Power cell requires 2 batteries and a silicon rubber. How much copper do I have? I have enough. Okay, I'm going to grab some. And what do I need again? Need battery, silicon rubber. Okay, I need 2, 3, 4. Alright. And how does multiplayer work in this game? It is quite jank. I just had to come back from fixing some slight problems, but yeah, it works through a mod. We're using a mod to host the multiplayer session. And unfortunately, we can't play the latest version of Subnautica, you know, Subnautica 2.0. This has to be Subnautica Legacy. But other than the jank, it's going okay so far. Okay, where did my titanium go? Hi Kagu, hi Bob, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing okay. I need lubricant. Lubricant is from... I have one, right. Okay, I'm building the mobile vehicle bay.
Nice.
Inventory full. Oh, fuck you!
What is this?
I'm gonna drop some titanium. Eventually, we're gonna need a lot of this titanium, but for now, we don't have enough space. Give me that. Here it is. We have a mobile vehicle bay. Let's see. Vehicles. Ingredients unknown. So, yeah. Okay, we have a mobile vehicle bay now. But we can't do anything with it yet. But oh well. Ah, fuck you! Playing some RuneScape. Oh, nice. RuneScape. So you only need to kill 5,000 slime in order to level up instead of 10,000 slime, right? Where the hell is the last fucking beacon? I feel like it's something we missed, you know?
Maybe.
Like there's a box that we just kept swimming past and we didn't scan it. What's that? Titanium. Fuck you. What's that? Creature. No. I'll take you, thank you. No. What are you, copper? I'll take that. What are you, titanium? No.
Ow.
It's impossible to outrun those motherfuckers, I swear. Oh, it's really deep here. I really, really wish I could convince Numi to play one of these games one day. I want to hear him scream.
Oh, no.
Any stuff I can find here? Scanner. Blueprints. Please? Blueprint? No. Blueprint? No.
New blueprint.
Nice.
Don't know if you were here before. Oh, let's see if I can find anything anyway. Ooh, Seamoth.
Nice.
2 out of 3. Okay. Well, getting very close to building one. If I can find the final fragment. Scanner room?
Oh,
Oh,
this is a key.
I'm getting poisoned by radiation, but I don't care. I'm gonna scan. I'm fine. I'll do it for the Seamoth. Yeah. Okay.
This is cave. I'm not ready for this.
30 seconds.
Breach like a extremely hideous whale because our player character's face is hideous. Oh, I got the final Seamoth blueprint. We can build one now. Assuming we have the parts.
Nice.
Yeah, Chad, I wouldn't be able to play this without Foxley. Foxley moves so fast. She's a natural explorer.
Wait, don't you have the Siglator?
Yeah, I do, but I don't use it. Okay, we need titanium ingots. We have a lot of. Oh, we don't need much actually. We need titanium ingots, power cell, glass, lubricant, and lead. We have all of those.
Nice.
So, oh, I can actually make one. I'm going to. Do we still have all the titanium ingots?
Wait,
Yes.
I don't see it. Where is it?
Hmm?
The mod.
The sea moth?
Yeah, it's the mod.
You need to check out the blueprint in the vehicle bay.
Vehicle bay.
Yeah, vehicle bay. Outside.
Upside.
You'll see something floating on the surface. Mobile vehicle bay.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, that's it. Go over there and you can see what's required. So all the titanium we've been tossing, we need a lot of them now.
Titanium ingots, power cell, glass, I need glass, and lubricant. Glass and lubricant.
One titanium ingot, one power cell. I have been finding some lead, haven't I? Where did I put it? Oh, Foxy. I put a titanium ingot into the storage. You take that. I'll make myself another titanium ingot.
I already have one. You can
already have one?
use it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
In that case, I'll just use this. I need.
There should be. What are you looking again? What do you want?
I need quartz
Quartz. I
Yeah.
think I have quartz somewhere here.
for 2 glass.
Yeah. I have quartz here.
Yeah, we need 4 glass total. We also need 2 power cells. There'll be one for each of us. Batteries. Battery requires. Mushroom. 4. Battery.
There should be power cell extra in there.
Oh, really?
In the storage.
Oh well. We need to remember to switch out power cells too, so that they can be charged in our pod, because the pod apparently charges power cells first.
Yes.
We built this. Okay. So what do I have and what am I missing now? I'm missing glass and lead.
Lead. There should be quartz at the outside box.
And lead.
I
So
need lead.
yeah.
Yeah, we have those
Mhm.
somewhere in this box. But
Mhm. Silver ore, copper ore. A lot of salt.
The sea moth is a fast, safe mode of transport.
There we go.
But remember that swimming is good for your glutes and endorphin levels.
Yay! We have our own sea moth now.
nice. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Right. Am I missing anything? Nope. Got everything. Okay, we'll be able to travel a lot further now. Hey, what? What did... Oh, god damn it!
Hmm.
I accidentally picked up the vehicle builder. Hang on. Climb! God damn it! Yay!
Nice.
You're playing with Zephyr Wolf? Sounds like a name I've heard before. Even if I don't know. Oh god damn it! Even if it's something I don't know offhand.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Okay!
Oh,
We can go further now. Remember to repair your sea moth because sea moth can get damaged and explode
yeah.
if you're not careful. How do we recharge the sea moth? Yeah, the power cell is at the bottom, at the back, so we can start hot swapping the power cells. He's a joking on the stream now. Hit 99 of your stats right now. Lol. 99? Really?
Land re-recorded distress call.
This is Officer Keen in Lightpod 19. The captain is gone. I have assumed command. The last thing the captain did was give me coordinates for dry land. We regroup 1.5 kilometers southwest of the crash site. Stay together and good luck. This message will now repeat.
Rendezvous coordinates corrupted. Transmission origin coordinates downloaded. Signal location uploaded to PDA.
I'm going to get some water and I'm going to check out the other coordinates. I'm gonna take my sea moth out. I'll make the travel a lot quicker. Alright. Oh yeah, I think I have too much water. Alright, I'm gonna dump some titanium down below. I think. There's so much titanium. But the silver is very important. I'm going to keep the silver. So salt deposits. Salt.
Wait, is it attacking our sea moth?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm going to need to grab some fishies. need to eat some here, and then I'm going to cure some so that I have enough food for the travel. Come here. Come here. Come here! Alright, that should be enough food.
New creature discovered.
What do you mean discovered? I already scanned that. Alright, I'm gonna need some salt deposits. Which one has salt? God damn it! No!
Oxygen.
Is this salt? God damn it! Yeah, it is salt. Okay. Need 2 salts. Alright. Time to cook. Gonna cure that. Cure that. Alright. And then the rest.
New creature discovered.
I will cook and eat now.
Oh,
Alright. Fresh food. That is cooked. That is cooked. Foxley, if you need food, there is a cooked boomerang in storage.
alrighty.
Alright, I have plenty of water. I'm going to put some more water in the main storage. There we go. I'm gonna take the one first aid kit with me. Okay, I'm going to go and search for the other crash site. Okay, where is it? Where the fuck is it? Oops. Hello? Wait, huh? Where? Where is it? I don't see it anywhere. Oh, it's there. Okay, found it. I see it. It's a kilometer out. It was also a nice leisurely drive through the ocean. It's 300 meters below the surface. I think my diving equipment should be able to handle it. Maybe. Oops. Gold! I'm happy I stopped for this. What's this? More salt deposits. Do you want me to pick up more salt deposits, Foxy? You want me to pick up more salt deposits along the way?
Not really.
Alright. I'm gonna pick up all of these. Lead. Okay, lead might be valuable. Copper, valuable enough. I'll take it. Pressing left click to enter is so different. How do I turn off? Oh, okay, I click to turn off lights. Oh, what's in here? Mobile vehicle bay again. Ugh. are you? Shell plate? Can I collect a sample? No. Oh. Okay, this is Numi's nightmare. Going down into the abyss. Oh boy. Ooh. Oh. Numi would be screaming right now.
New blueprint acquired.
Warning, maximum depth reached. Hull damage imminent.
Shit, I can't get any lower, damn. That is. What's my current depth? Shit, my maximum depth is 200 meters. Hang on, let me see. Is there anything I can grab from here? It's salt deposits. No. Hang on, maybe I can... What if I were to park above 300 and then dive down? Let's see. Yeah, look, there's a debris field here. I need to check this out.
Biodiversity in this region is unusually low. Cause unknown.
See anything here? Scan. 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 Fuck you! Scan. 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 Oh god damn it. Come on, let me scan. Are you serious? No scan? Scan? Scan. Really? Really? There's nothing here? Oh wait, no, in there. Okay, hang on. Hang on.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Okay, let's park right over here.
Warning, maximum depth reached. Hull damage imminent.
Oh, nothing.
Okay, what do we have in here? Water? Really? Is that all there is in here? Really? Just water? Are you fucking serious?
Oh, okay.
Okay, we need a blowtorch to get into this. Yeah, there's nothing here. Unless that's... that's scannable. Okay, bioreactor. Okay, I need to look for...
Getting dark. No.
New blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired.
found one piece of the bioreactor here. Where's the other piece?
30 seconds.
If we can find the bioreactor, that'd be amazing. Is there another piece of it here? Come on. Come on, please tell me there's one more piece here. Damn it. I need to have the blowtorch in order to get the next piece of the bioreactor.
Hmm.
New blueprint acquired.
Yeah, there's nothing here. Alright. Let us back into the sea moth and let's see if we can. Wait, is that the other piece? No, it's something else.
Oh no.
That requires a blowtorch. Oh god, we fell into a ravine. Oh, god damn it. Ah. Can I swim down 120 meters and get back before I drown?
Please be careful. Oh, ultra high capacity.
Yep, now I
Nice.
just need to make sure I don't die. Anything to scan in here?
Signal location uploaded to PDA. Integrating new PDA data. Integrating new PDA data.
Oh shit, those things are attacking me. Okay, we're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're fucking leaving. Get it! Okay, we're leaving. Fucking. Okay, I'm coming home.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see shit. Oh, Numi will hate this so much.
No.
Oh no, Foxy! What happened?
I was trying to scan some things. Anyway.
How do you die? Does it drown or you get mauled by a sea creature?
Yeah, sea creature. Ta-ta-ta. Pastilo? Hmm.
So we have blueprints for something called the scanner room, right?
Huh?
I want to see if I can do anything about that. Maybe build something. But for now, I'm going to park back at home. Actually, hang on a second. I need to go to the toilet. I'll be right back. Boxley, you can keep playing if you want to, but yeah, I need to go to the toilet. It'll be number 2. Gimme.
Alright.
Hang on, let me drink some water. Once I drink this, it should be good. My BRB. Chat, enjoy the sound of oceans. I need to be happy. Chat, make sure to play with Foxley, okay?
Can here? Oh. No. Oh. What is this? You. It looks scary.
The biomass in this area is dominated by plant life, picking up faint or terra vehicle signatures.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Uh. Huh. Mm. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Okay, the oh, no, 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 no. No. These. Whoa. Where are you?
Coming back. I'm coming back.
Are you even
Hang on.
alive? And what are you? It is alive. It's alive. Okay. Barnacles.
Come
How do you break it?
Let me get back into my BDSM chess harness. Did I
Mhm.
die? Or did Foxley die? No, Foxley didn't
Nope.
die again.
I found like very
Okay.
big
Okay, didn't take
creature.
too long, chat.
Oh no!
Yeah. Almost done. Slip this on. And... Bye. Okay, I'm back. Foxy, you there?
Welcome back.
Okay. Uh,
What is this?
you die again?
Nope.
Do you find something?
Like a very slow big creature. Seems to be passive.
Oh,
Not sure.
uh-huh.
Can I go inside? No. Don't think so.
Okay, let me see here. Laser cutter. We need to find... I have a feeling that's the tool I need to cut into the door. Need to find the final piece of the laser cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Sea glider. Ultra high capacity. Modification station. We don't even have a modification station, do we?
Nope.
Yeah, that's gonna be all before we can get that. Hang on, there's a... The radio's beeping.
This is Sunbeam. You know Aurora. We're from a little transgov on the far side of Andromeda, and we have a saying there. There's no bad without the good, no good without the bad. Sounds like you tasted a bunch of the former, but that only means you're overdue a whole lot of the latter. Might just be we're in. We're scanning for somewhere to park. We'll be in touch when we find it. Sunbeam out.
Yeah, they're gonna die. They already know that they're going to die. It's so sad. Why good guys gotta die like that? What kind of shitty alien civilization would leave an automated cannon running? Hi, cool. Welcome. How's it going? Your luck kick broken didn't show stream feed while chat is working, Lamar. Oh yeah, that's one of the oddities of Kick. Sometimes the stream feed just stops working, and then you need to refresh the page in order to see stream again. Refresh it out to fix it. Yeah, it's a no problem. Oh well, I'm glad you're back. Also, welcome back, Foxley. Hi. We have not found the laser cutter yet. Are you wearing radiation gear?
Yes.
Aurora Rendezvous dry land. I wonder if I should try to find that Aurora Rendezvous dry land thing. Might be able to find something worthwhile first while I'm out there. Although, let me dump some junk. Dump the titanium. Dump the creature eggs. You don't need an extra knife, do you? I found an extra knife.
Nope.
And somehow I have an extra flashlight. What the fuck? And an extra scanner. What? How did I... You know what? The flashlight and the scanner is actually worth something because of the materials that went into making it, so I'm going to put this away here. Right. Where's my repair tool? Oh, an extra habitat builder too. Yeah, I'm going to put that into storage here. Wait, which storage? What the fuck was that?
Your thing just explode.
What?
Your thing just explode.
What? Why?
I don't know.
Nothing was hitting it. What the fuck?
Yeah. I saw it explode.
What the what?
This can explode. No reason.
What? What? Why did... I was just about to fix it. Why did it explode?
Wait, was it broken? Was it really critical damage?
It wasn't critical. It was like 50% when I got back. What the fuck?
Well, rip. Luckily, we're somewhat already rich.
Oxygen.
What the fuck? Nothing was hitting it, right? It was just sitting there.
Yeah. That's getting dark.
God damn it, do I have to build another one? Are you fucking serious? Where's all the damn titanium? Uh, fucking damn it. I was just getting ready to head out as well. Okay, I need...
You have an extra power cell here. I'm gonna use the extra fucking power cell.
I'll sell 2 glass, 1 lubricant. Those are salts. Are we out of quartz?
Not sure.
Lead.
Give me that lubricant. That's salt.
Yep, we are out of quartz.
God fucking damn it!
Worst part is I don't even know what fucking destroyed it. Okay, quartz comes from...
Could be a lot inside caves.
Yeah, I just need to find it.
Titanium.
Lead.
That is salt. I know we can get it from...
Here we are.
There we are, lots of quartz.
Aye.
Okay, I'm coming back. God fucking damn it.
Kiri, after you build your thingy, I think that's it for me.
Oh, we're going to bed already.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Damn it, I wanted to go to the island though.
Wanted to try to do that before.
Before, you know, our rescue ship explodes. Although I suppose we can save the Aurora Rendezvous Point dry land for
Next time. Okay.
we're going to exit
Alright.
here then
Bye.
I like standing out here. It's
Really nice and peaceful.
oh well. Thank you everyone for joining us for Subnautica stream.
Number 1.
No idea how often we're gonna be playing this, but yeah, it's quite fun so far. If only the game didn't bullshit me and fucking blew up my ship. Motherfucking, I don't know what the hell happened, but oh well.
Good night, everyone.
Remember to hit the like, subscribe button down below on YouTube if you enjoy my content. Alternatively, if you guys are on Kick, remember to hit the follow button.
Love y'all. Mwah. Mwah.
I'll see you guys again soon, alright? We'll definitely be continuing this. I think I'm enjoying this. Are you having fun, Foxley?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, hopefully next time we'll be
Made
able
a lot
to...
of progress.
Hopefully next time we'll be able to start earlier with... without needing to do the whole like installation process, because we spent an hour making sure everything was working. But yeah,
Next time we're gonna be able to start earlier, so
good night everyone, bye bye.
mwah. Mwah. Love you all.
Good night. Thanks again for coming. Oh wait, hang on.
If
Let me see if there's anyone we can raid on Kick, if I can even raid. Can I? Do I have enough viewers to raid on Kick?
I'm not entirely sure.
If I can even raid. Oh, I do have enough viewers. Okay, let me see if there's anyone I can raid on Kick. Is there anyone I know streaming right now?
No.
Or at least nobody I'm following. Let me see here. Any names I recognize? I don't recognize any of you. Any names I recognize here? No. Okay, so yeah.
Not gonna be anyone then. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Good night. Mwah. Mwah.
Bye bye.